It's fine.
You have to, well, no, you don't have to bring number 9. You don't have to bring that one up.
Okay, we tabled the interstate lighting.
Yeah. You don't have to discuss 6, 9, or 13.
Terry?
Oh, I can just say we tabled it.
Just look at the agreement.
Interstate lighting. That's all I'm gonna say. The rest of it, I'm not even gonna say anything about it.
Is there any kind of agreement that we have made as a council that says, or a resolution or something that says we will pay X dollars, or we will pay 50%?
I'm going to lose all of it. Yeah, I called Andy Hatfield earlier. He straightened me out.
I'm just saying in general, we didn't bat an eye.
Randy, remember.
Where's you at the dinner?
I'm putting a note down.
Huh?
Where's you at the dinner the other night? City Court. You didn't make it. We had a catfish dinner out there. Oh, you hadn't got back yet? Oh, you're too tired.
All right, we're here. Okay. I want to welcome everybody to the May 2018 regular meeting of the Russellville City Council. We'll call the meeting to order. At this time, we'll be led in our invocation by Pastor Ronnie Morris, Senior Pastor of Russellville First Assembly. We'll follow that with a pledge to the flag. So if you would all please rise.
But Father, we bow before you this evening, and we're grateful for a city that still acknowledges the need to humble themselves before you and to pray. And I pray, God, because of that, you'd pour out your blessings, because you said, my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Then you would hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and you'd heal our land. God, you said when the righteous rule in a city, the people rejoice. And I know tonight that all of us in leadership need direction and guidance. And we turn to you because you said if we ask for wisdom, that you would indeed give us the wisdom that we ask for. And that's what we're asking. And we pray, Lord, that righteousness would prevail in this city. And you said for us to seek first the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of ourselves or the kingdom that is the world, but to seek first the kingdom of God and your righteousness, and all these things will be added to us. And we ask, Lord, that you would open the windows of heaven over this river valley and over Russellville, Arkansas, that you would pour out a blessing that we could not contain. I believe, Lord, your hand is upon us. And I pray, God, that you would touch each member of this council and all those here tonight to do business. Because, God, this is the city gate. And as it goes at the city gate, according to the word of God, so goes the community. And I pray again your blessings upon this city, upon this governing body, because you said they are ordained of you. And we just pray that, Lord, you would touch them tonight, give them the wisdom, and cause them, Lord, I pray, to understand that we're directed by you. We can make our plans, but our plans only come about because of you. And we pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated, please. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Ms. Caruth?
Here.
Mr. Straight?
Here.
Mr. Sims?
Here.
Ms. Harris? Mr. Wiley?
Here.
Mr. Tripp?
Yeah, here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Westcott?
Here.
Mayor, I know you're here. Trey Smith and me.
We have a quorum. Council, that brings us down to the minutes. Should have been provided them in your packets. If there's no questions or corrections, would entertain a motion to approve. Okay, we have a motion, Mr. Westcott. Second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Brown, to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Mr. McCoyne, would you lead us through the financial report?
Yes, sir. Mayor and Council, financial report for April. General fund revenues, $1,453,282. That's 5.83% above our projections. Tax receipts were $712,284. Franchise fees and permits were $568,681. General fund expenditures, $1,026,068, 10.72% above our projections. We've received $119,612 more receipted than expended for the general fund. Operations, street fund, $153,885, 11.15% below our projection. Sales tax receipts were $502,343. Half-cent road tax, $51,951. Street fund expenditures, $120,909, 5.4% below the projections. Sales tax improvements was $58,531 for sidewalks and drainage. Capital expense was $2,866. Economic development revenues $41,935. Sales tax of that was $39,833, $2,102 in interest. Expenditures were $123,182 for Arkansas Valley Alliance and the Weir Road project. Capital assets revenues were $95,854. $79,666 was new sales tax, $15,487 for parks, $701 interest. Expenditures were $343,312 to City Corp, our building R&M, fire station, and parks. Anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. McCoyne, you said our year-to-date expenses were 10.72% above projections. Is that right?
Tim, yes.
What's causing that?
We had an extra payroll. It comes all at once instead of spread out.
So but that's above projection, where we're not projecting that or expecting
Well,
that?
we projected it on a 12-month basis. This happened all in one. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. Just another note is, in our report, you'll notice that I do put last year's tax receipts compared to this year's tax receipt. Don't put that on it. It was $243 greater this month than last year, same period.
And 2 months ago, we had a significant
$188,000, yes.
bump, and that still, you were a little bit reluctant to be excited at that point
And I'm
in time.
still not excited.
Okay.
As that reflects here, $283.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. McCoyne. All right, that'll bring it down to Mayor's report. We're going to go off script a little bit here and ask everybody. I'm not going to punish you guys by having to listen to us with amplified voices actually sing, but I would like for everybody, please, to join me in wishing a very happy birthday to our good friend Johnny Story today. 29 or 30, Johnny? All right. Kevin Massey, he's the branch manager for the Pope County Library. He's here to give us an update. Maybe tell us what's coming up at the library.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Yes, I just wanted to share with you about our annual summer reading program that's coming up. Registration has already started for that. The actual programs will begin on Saturday, June the 2nd and go through Saturday, June the 30th. Now this is not just for kids, it's for teens and adults as well. Our main focus is on literacy. So this year, instead of trying to meet a goal of reading a certain number of books, we are keeping up with the amount of time that each person reads so that everyone on all reading levels can have the same chance at all the prizes. And that's a little something we've done differently this year. This year's theme is musical, and it is called Libraries Rock. We will be having guest speakers from the state park. We will be having guest speakers from other countries. They're going to come in and talk about their countries and the music that they play there. We'll also be having movies, crafts, and games. There will be programs during the day and the evenings and weekends so that everybody has a chance to attend. So if you or your kids are interested in doing any of this, you can sign up at the library, or you can go to popelibrary.org. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Kevin.
All righty, thank you.
All right, council, this one I'm just going to share. I'm not even asking for a vote at this time, but we've had an opening for a couple of months on the Civil Service Commission, and I've wrestled around with this because we've had actually a couple of good names to consider. I'm going to nominate Jason Ramsey from Ramco. I think most of you guys know him. He's got some law enforcement experience in his background, and I'll nominate him today and ask for your confirmation at next month's meeting. Sound good? All right, and then the last thing I'd like to do, we recently put 3 new members on our Recreation and Parks Commission, that's quite a turnover at one time. It is a rare thing the way everything combined, but I asked them all to come tonight, and so would all of you stand up, please? All of the commissioners. We've got, of course, Mr. Andy Hatley. He corrected me on that earlier. And Brian Fisher. They've been on there a while. The 2 new faces you see are Johnny Brazil and Dallas Clark. And the one missing is Jamie Ellis. But if you've been around here any time at all, you know what Jamie looks like. Thank you guys for your willingness to serve, and we're looking forward to moving ahead with the Parks and Rec Commission. So thank you. Council, I'm going to call it done there, and we'll go into the department report. This month is Brian Holstein from Community Development and Code Enforcement.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, citizens, for allowing me to have a few short minutes to talk to you about my status year to date. What we talk about basically is where we're at on permitting and commercial-wise and that sort of thing. So I'll just start off by reading status. Residential building permits. At this point, we have done 71 permits, and the permit fees have reached $8,537, and the commercial building permits at 33 have reached $14,024.99. The total estimated cost of construction this year for the first 4 months have been $7,561,966. Now I'll get into our trade permits, which is going to be electrical permits. It's 70 permits for the first 4 months at $3,526. HVAC at 41 permits at $1,555. And plumbing permits at 50 at a total of $1,820. The number of inspections for the first 4 months is 364 inspections. And also we have introduced, this council has adopted and introduced building permits, plan review fees. And we have done, so far we have done $1,000 in plan review fees and $400 in sprinkler fees. And the total collections is $27.84. $27,800.12. If we go on into community development, we talk about business licenses, and at this point, the city of Russellville has over 1,200 businesses in the city of Russellville, which I'm very proud of. And this first 4 months, we have gained 24 new businesses in the city of Russellville. Our total revenue is $56,636.46. That's all I have to say for for my for my community development, but I do have two other departments within my staff, and one is going to be code enforcement, and the other is facility maintenance. I will say, take the time to tell you that I've inherited also another department. So I'll have janitorial also. What we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate contract labor and do in-house as much as possible, and I get the job, and I don't mind it a bit. At this point, I would like to talk about code enforcement. We've cut in our staff in code enforcement. We cut one man in our staff, but even though Bill Clark is an amazing person. He has closed 1,099 cases in 4 months, and he has 153 cases open. So as you can see, our code enforcement officer, he's not just opening cases, but he's closing them. And that's a good thing, because we're talking about tall grass, we're talking about junky yards, we're talking about dilapidated structures, we're talking about things we don't like to see. And he is doing a great job in closing those cases. And anytime anybody can open up 1,000 cases and only have, close 1,000 cases and only have 153 open at this point, he's doing quite a good job in 4 months. I would like to say at this time that we are going to be excited because this is our first 4 months, and as you can see with the numbers I'm showing you, I really believe that the Russellville is going to see a little growth this year. We already have. We've done some things this year that it stands out. You can go all the way to the school facility that has an indoor 50-yard football field that they can practice on now. It's not complete, but it's well underway. It's just a really nice building. If you get a chance, I mean, an indoor football field it's just pretty neat to me. We have a new motel, the Marriott, and you need to go see the Marriott. They've done a great job at this motel. We have several other buildings that I'm not going to spend all night on this because I know that we got to get on with City Council and the agenda. But I would like to say that I'm excited for our department because we're the ones that get to see the growth, get to see it when it first starts happening. I do plan review, and I can tell you right now I'm busy in plan review. Do I have any questions, Council? Well, thank you. That was easier than I thought.
Thank you, Brian. Committee reports. Chairman Larry Brown, does Finance have any business for us to consider?
Yes, sir. We met last week on the agenda meeting, and there was 5 items, I believe, there that we're going to talk about. First, there's an appropriation for fire department. That was $426. And I send that to council as a motion to pass through refund.
Second. Oh, you don't have to.
No. Council, you heard the committee's motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 1 is approved, Mr. Chairman.
Item number 2, appropriation, police department, expense vehicle maintenance. This was a pass-through, $6,854. Make that as a motion to the council.
Council, you heard the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2 is approved.
Number 3, consideration for repairing the roof of the old central fire station for the mayor and building maintenance.
Council, we discussed this Tuesday night a little bit. We had kind of a wide range of guesstimates, I guess you would call them. You should have a sheet there in front of you, a set of bid specs that Jerry pulled out and used, some other examples from. This is what we're thinking. We would like to run an ad and get formal bids on that and see what the real price is.
You didn't like the bids that you got?
Well, they kind of weren't apples to apples, and,
You had one from Miller Roofing here.
and we needed to do a formal bid on it either way. It was over $20,000, and so, but they ran 38 to 68, basically, Jerry. So,
That's
just to
quite-
make sure everybody's quoting the same thing, and
Yeah,
We had one that had a 20-year roof, a 10-year roof. We had a half-inch insulation and a 1-inch, and one of them was a 40 mil, one of them was 60 mil. So we wanted to set the specs, what we want on the roof, and get a bid if that's possible.
this note on here, Engineers Joint Contract Documents Committee, that's a little book about as thick as your packets are for tonight's meeting that goes out with this.
Is there any other conversation on this?
I guess we're looking for an indication the council wants to pursue it.
We do.
Okay. So was
Motion to
that-
bid?
Was that in the form of a motion?
Well, I
Committee.
want to know if
I
there's
don't
any
remember.
more conversation that we need first here on this thing. Anybody? Well, we put that to a motion then to the council.
All right, council, you heard the motion. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 3 is approved.
There's quite a bit of discussion on this number 4. Health insurance increase for 2018 beginning in July. Single cost is going from $335.50 to $369 for family. It was going $748 to $819. This is the first increase since we started using Municipal League insurance in 2011. To continue the same cost to the employee, it would cost the city approximately $52,885 for the remainder of this year. Mayor, you have any comments?
Well, I defer to Ms. Vaughn. Do you have any updates on getting information from other? You've kind of looked into it. Do you feel like speaking about it, or
so, Mayor, do we need to table this for another month?
We're gonna need to get something done, I believe.
no? The rates go up next month, don't they, Jerry?
We have to make the payment.
We have to
July.
make it.
So,
Okay,
We're doing it if you're enrollment, and our employees need to know by tomorrow if their rates are gonna increase, if they're gonna be paying higher rates, because it's effective July 1st, and the municipal league wants their answer and all these enrollments done by June 15th. If we have people that are currently wanting to drop our plan or to be added, and I know already we have employees that want to be added.
Jerry, did you find out what the percentage is that the employee has to pay on their insurance?
I did, and I didn't bring that with me. I'm sorry.
I
You ha-
I do have that.
How much is it?
As of right now, for an individual policy, the city, the taxpayers pay 86.4% of that bill.
86.
The individual right now pays $45.50. It'll go up $4.70 if we keep that same percentage, an extra $4.70 a month. For family, the taxpayers absorb 52.1%. Their
Those
premiums
were
will
up.
go from $358 to $392.30 equals $34.30 extra for family. If we keep the current percentage.
Percentage.
Yeah,
And if we don't, the family is $71 a year, and the
Correct.
individual's $33.50.
correct.
Mayor, we need to make a motion whether we're going to accept this and we're going to pay it, or that we're going to pass this along to the employee. And I think we need to make that decision tonight.
Well, even if we pass it on to the employees, we're still gonna pay about, what, about 35,000?
And that would, although this came to us in the form of a motion from the Finance Committee, can we modify that at all right now? Okay, then
Do an
I'm
amendment
just-
to the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I think in the Finance Committee meeting, or agenda prep meeting, we talked about the fact that we had not given a cost of living increase in the last several years. A cost of living increase would cost us somewhere around $300,000 to $400,000 citywide to do like a 3%. We're looking at $52,000 so that their insurance stays the same. And I would encourage my fellow council members to support this. We don't need to pass this on to the employees.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Westcott?
I also personally subscribe to municipal health insurance. That's paid for out of my own pocket. My family premiums are $748 a month. That's going to go up to $819, a difference of $71 a month. I pay that in its entirety. Not only am I required to pay that extra $71 a month, or $426 a year, I'll receive no extra benefit for that investment other than the sheer pleasure of being able to do it. And now I'm being asked to, or my tax dollars, I'm being asked to pay someone else's increase as well. And for the life of me, I don't see the merit in that. I don't see the fairness in that. I'm all for staying with our current percentage split that we do. Has there been some agreement made between the city and our employees that we will pay a certain percentage, or we will pay a certain amount, or is it just understood that we do this?
Mr. Mayor, as we pointed out in our budget process last fall, we have this $1 million carryover, which the $52,000 would come out of, because our department heads and city employees went to the mat for us and made sure that we had that kind of savings in our budget. And they're the ones that created this money, and they're also taxpayers. Even though they may live outside of the city survives off of sales tax. So every employee that lives out in the county, when they shop at Walmart in this town, or if they shop at one of the other big box stores or whatever, they're paying just as much sales tax, some of them probably more, especially when you've got people that run off to Conway and Little Rock to spend their tax dollars or their sales tax money. So they're contributing just like the rest of us. And we're not talking about property taxes here. We don't collect those. To generate this revenue, we collect sales tax. That means every car that stops on the interstate contributes to the tax dollars, and they're the ones that saved us the money that we've got now. We're talking another 20-something thousand over the 35,000 we've got to do. We need to pass this. Do not pass it on to the employees.
Well, right now it is in the form of a motion.
So,
What's in the form of a motion?
the motion is for the city to pay the $52,885 to cover the balance of this year. That gives us time at the start of the year, we could go to a higher deductible, just accept the higher rates. We got some options.
And it's only for 6 months.
Okay,
His motion.
all right. So this is in the form of a motion. Mr. Westcott, were you going to do an amendment?
Well, just so that we're all clear, a lot of the folks in this audience today, their insurance premiums have gone up this year as well. So just so they understand, we're asking you to pay your own increases, and we're asking you to pay someone else's increases too. Do I understand that correctly? I think I do.
I think that's
Well-
a stretch, Mr. Westcott.
I guess that's one way to look at it. Back to your other question, we never did get answered. We have not made any kind of a deal to the employees at this time. That's your job to do first, but.
Well, then I would move to amend this motion.
We can pay it ourselves, or we can pay the employees their salary and let them pay it. everything we pay for is paid for with tax dollars.
I would move to amend this motion to, instead of paying the entire amount, that we apply the same percentage that we currently pay to that increase.
Okay, so we have a motion to split the cost of the increase based on the same division that we currently use on the current rates.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion from Mr. Westcott and a second from Mr. Tripp. This is amending the committee's motion. All right, all in favor, any other discussion on that? All in favor of the amendment to the motion,
Roll
say
call.
aye.
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 No.
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 Okay,
Roll call.
we're gonna need to call the roll. The motion for the amendment was Mr. Westcott, and
Westcott.
second was Mr. Tripp.
Tripp.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
No.
Mr. Straight?
No.
Ms. Harris? She's not here. Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Wiley?
No.
Ms. Caruth?
Yes.
4 to 3.
Okay, 4 to 3, there's not enough votes to pass the amendment, so that brings us back to the original motion, which is for the city to pay the $52,885. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the original motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Better go ahead and call it again.
Who made the original motion? Doesn't matter who made the original motion.
Well, everybody in the committee, so just go on the list.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Can't hear her. Can you hear her?
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
No.
4 to 3.
I'll break the tie and vote yes, and thank you to all of you that voted to support our employees.
There shouldn't have been a tie.
Wasn't a tie, it's 4 to 3.
It's 4 to 3, just like the other
Well,
one.
you still have to have, you gotta have 5 to pass it.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's not breaking a tie, but it's to affect passage.
Okay.
All right, item 5, Mr. Chairman.
Consideration replace the televisions in the council chamber and move the newer, the ones here you're talking about.
Yes.
Right, these ones there in the chamber office, moving those to the first floor conference room.
I laid a new proposal on each of you's table.
Yeah, it's
We
total
went
$8,970.
Yes, sir?
I put that to the council as a motion. To accept.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5 is approved.
Okay. Where's mine at?
You gonna borrow mine?
No, it's here. You got mine? Well, I've got one laying around here somewhere. All right. Yes, this is mine. Okay, Mayor, tonight for the agenda tonight, the new business here is Appropriation Department Administration, Travel and Training Registration Convention, $3,826.20. I put that as a motion to the council.
Council, you heard the motion on tonight's agenda, item 1. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 1 is approved.
Number 2, Department Mayor, expense, travel and training, registration, hotel, convention, $1,175.40. I put that as a motion to the council.
Council, you heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? I'm sorry. No discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2 is approved.
Item 3 is appropriation. This Port Administration, this is for the purchase of the EWI property, and that's in numbers $781,101.53. And I put that in form of motion to the council.
Council, you heard the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, you might want to point out that that won't be the total number. There'll be 585,000 off of that.
This, we're gonna do the closing simultaneously, so they'll hand us a check on that end for 600,000. We'll hand out the 781, and so for the end of day effect on the budget is much lower than this number.
It's 200.
Item 3 is approved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, item 4, the Department Aquatic Center. This is final on the sign that was passed through from a donation of $5,000. I put that in form of motion to the council.
Council, you heard the motion on item 4. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4 is approved.
Item number 5, approval for Arkansas Valley Alliance, April 2018 billing, $6,056.31. Put that in form of motion to the council.
Council, you heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5 is approved.
We had item 6, interstate lighting, we tabled that. Number 7, consideration of a resolution, the city of Russellville accepting the bid for the South Seattle Tulsa drainage improvement, it's from the mayor and Red. I'd like to combine both that with.
Okay, you're going to present 7 and 8 combined?
Yes.
All right.
So
At
we
this
can
point,
have
we did
discussion.
have a member of the community sign up to speak to this. Are you ready, Mr. Hutchinson? Okay. I think either one of the mics should be working.
The alderwomen and the aldermen and the mayor who've come to our watershed in the sunshine and in the rain to observe the stormwater issues. I thank you for listening and exchanging ideas for solutions to some of the city's stormwater problems. I thank you for the projects that you have been completed on South Vancouver as well as on South Independence. With the project that's been advertised, most of the flooding and the water quality issues in the sub-watershed will be addressed. The remainder of the risk will be reduced when stormwater conveyance is restored on the north side of West 12th Street in conjunction with the Inglewood project that's on the current 5-year plan. The continued interest of the alderwomen and aldermen in moving the progress in addressing stormwater problems is a good improvement from the historical performance in this area. The access to elected officials and city employees for discussion of stormwater issues shows the city has made a root change in the way the needs of the people are being served. The movement on issues of stormwater since the meeting on September 6, 2017 is amazing. This restores the faith in the public service of elected officials. I cannot say more that we can no longer say that nothing ever changes. I commend the mayor on his assistance in the meetings in the last few weeks on a range of stormwater issues. Involvement by the highest level of city, I've lost my place. Involvement by the highest level of city government signifies that the issues have importance and the meetings can steer the way to a decision on a plan of action. I commend the mayor on his candor and openness for the discussion of interest on the points. Without the open dialogue, all parties make assumptions about why things were done in a certain way. With an open dialogue of the basis for the plan of action with technical problems, then the interested public can understand the plan. The public without the basis replaces unknown facts with theories. The planners do not know the detailed local knowledge the public has and the real motivation for the public's ideas. Detention basins are required in the city ordinance 1675, need to be maximized in order to reduce the peak flow of any increase in runoff from development in all areas of the city's watershed. Urban development since the creation of the Prairie Creek Summit has generated stormwater, which has created the need for the pending 205 project. The Corps has identified vacant areas in the city where detention basins can be constructed to reduce peak flows. Quick action should be taken to evaluate if some of them should be reserved for city detention ponds. The Corps of Engineers project on Prairie Creek and Engineers Ditch has a dollar cap for spending. It will not solve all flooding problems. The only work on Engineers Ditch is at the railroad embankment and in the sump. The city will need to plan upstream of the 205 project. Stealing quote from Winston Churchill, and I'm misquoting him besides. This is not the beginning of the end of the drainage problems in the city. It is the end of the beginning of the drainage problems in the city. If I can lend a hand investigating stormwater issues, assisting in setting priorities, or acting as a sounding board for the stormwater plan, please feel free to contact me. Thank you again for placing a priority on solving drainage problems. Thank you again for the open communication and exchange of ideas resulting in the most effective projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry, would you check the sheet? We don't have the sheet for sign up to speak. Is there? Okay. Did anybody else sign up to speak on that issue? All right, council, it's up to you. It was presented in the form of a motion on items 7 and 8.
Mayor, if
Mr.
I
Tripp?
may, I believe that there's two bids that were very close to one another.
Yes.
That both came in well under the engineer's estimate, is
Yes,
that right?
sir.
Okay.
You want to, as a matter of fact, you want to carry on. Go ahead. No?
Well, to the tune of like $60,000 or $70,000 under the engineer's estimate.
Yeah, and that engineer's estimate, when we first discussed looking at this, Mr. Barrett's, and this was like a 5-minute review. He had no real time spent on it. He thought it could be $350,000. As he really refined his plans, looked at the best way to do things, his engineering estimate at the time the bids went out was $278,000. Our low bid was $209,000, $289,000, Jerry.
Yeah,
and
it's
there
in
was-
their packet. The high bid was $312,750.
Yeah, but there was another one backing that one up that was $210,000 and
210,
change,
180.
less than $1,000. So thanks very much to our local contractors. Both of those were locals, by the way. So, all right, any other discussion? Sign up to speak. I don't think anybody else is on that one. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 7 and 8 are approved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, number 10, consideration resolution to the city of Russellville accepting bid for 2019 F-550 4x4 with dump bed for public works. This has been in the process for a while. I put that in form of motion to the council.
All right, council, you heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item, was that 10?
10.
Is approved.
Item 11, consideration to repair the HVAC controls as described in the attached proposal from Northwest Controls and ordinance waiving competitive bidding from Jeff Humphreys. Before I make a motion, could I say something, Mayor?
Sure.
I think the chief, Humphreys here, he did an excellent job of putting together some engineering reports and some things and problem areas that we've had over there. I'd just like to take and read this quick, and it's to date, the existing HVAC system has undergone extensive maintenance and repairs to get the system to work properly. The current control system has been worked on but still doesn't respond as it should. Bunning Electric has performed maintenance on the system for several years. The economizer has been disconnected due to the inability to communicate with the BS controller. Disconnecting the economizer has nullified any potential energy savings that the original design intended. It is the engineer's understanding that the maintenance that has been performed as required to make the existing system work. Much of this maintenance is a direct result of the control system not being properly commissioned. His recommendation was ideally the existing control system should be commissioned properly. However, due to the age of the control system and lack of personnel trained to commission the system, this is not a viable option. The control company responsible for the original installation of the system has sent technicians to work on the system, and no attempts have been successful. The engineer's recommendation is to install a new HVAC control system for the entire building. The new system needs to be properly commissioned after installation by a licensed HVAC controls contractor. Thanks, Chief, that was good.
All right.
Now, it's got an itemized list here, but the appropriation, what is the cost of that?
We'll have to read the ordinance before we can appropriate
Right.
anything.
So we really need to break this down into two.
Yes,
All right, so first off, we have
make
a recommendation.
Make a motion
for
to.
the ordinance. Do I hear a motion on how you want to dispense with that ordinance?
Motion to suspend the rules, read one time by title only with a short explanation.
Second.
All right, we got a motion, Mr. Westcott, a second, Mr. Wiley, to suspend the reading requirements and read one time by title only. All in favor of the motion to suspend, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Smith?
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding for service to repair the central heat and air unit at the Russellville Police Station. Authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to sign all necessary documents for said service and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would acquire the services to repair the AVHC unit at the Russellville Police Station. And that cost would be $65,950, and that would this would waive the bidding and allow Northwest Control Systems of Little Rock to work on this unit.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All right, we got a motion to adopt and a second. Any discussion? The second was Mr. Westcott. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes,
Ms. Carruth?
Yes.
All right. The ordinance is approved. Emergency clause.
That's it.
Yeah, they want to get it done probably, so, yeah.
I'd entertain a motion on the. Mr.
Motion
Tripp
for the
is not
emergency
here.
clause.
What?
Yes.
Motion for the emergency clause.
Okay. All right, we got a motion for the emergency clause from Mr. Westcott and a second from Mr. Tripp. I think, sounds to me like we could just do this by voice vote.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so the ordinance is all cleaned up and taken care of. Now that makes your appropriation amount valid, Mr. Chairman. Okay? and
the
your-
appropriation amount is $65,950, is that correct?
Yes.
I make that as a motion to,
All right.
Accept.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, your appropriation is approved, Mr. Chairman.
Go
that's
get
it,
it fixed, chief.
that'll be it for tonight,
That's it?
That's it.
that's it.
Excellent, thank you very much. Chair Harris is not here. Would one of the other committee members like to handle the personnel part? Mr. Tripp, did you say?
Sure.
Ms. Vaughn will help you with the details. She's here tonight for that, but
Personnel
if you would.
Committee met on Tuesday, May 8th, and discussed a few items. We created a third custodial position, changed, I think, the title a little bit on the previous two, and to allow all those, as Mr. Holstein said earlier, to come within his office under his umbrella. We think that we can get a little bit more bang for our buck and a little bit more efficiencies doing that in-house than the way we're presently doing it. In addition to that, we also separated the positions within Public Works of city engineer and public works director, and we finalized the job description for the public works director. And so the committee presents the job description of the third custodial and the creation of that position, and the job description for the public works director to the council in form of a motion.
Okay, you're going to motion for both items at one time. All right, council, you heard the committee's
Mr. Mayor.
motion. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sims?
why is it necessary to combine them?
As far as doing
That's the
items
way I
1
made
and
the
2?
motion.
I would rather see it broken out.
Be a motion to divide it if he wants to make one in a second.
Okay. So make a motion, we need a motion to divide
Division of the question.
division of the question. It helps to have a registered parliamentarian sitting next to you in a meeting. It really does. So is that your motion, Mr. Sims? to
I so
divide?
move.
All right. got a Motion to divide the question from Mr. Sims, second from Mr. Wiley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. I believe that carries. Now, Mr. Tripp, would you make a motion on item 1?
Creating a custodial position job description with changing the previous two. I think that was the supervisory, the way they were, the way, what department, how they were structured, and presenting, and basically that provides custodial services, City Hall, District Court, Public Works, Police Station, Aquatic Center, and the Hughes Center, and Fire Station. And that's what those three positions will combine to do, and that's in form of a motion.
All right, council, you heard the committee's motion on item 1. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 1 is approved.
Next, the Personnel Committee made the recommendation to split the jobs of City Engineer and Public Works Director into two, and we have finalized the job description for the Public Works Director and present that in form of a motion to the council.
Council, you heard the committee's motion on item 2. Any discussion?
What, how much difference is this than the old one, besides the engineer part of it?
How much different is what?
The wording in this is pretty much the same, except for the engineer part.
I mean, I think it's completely different because now it's going to be two separate deals.
Yeah, it
As
wasn't no
far as the
engineer.
duties,
It's very
pretty much-
similar to the way it was prior to 2011, when they were combined.
and day-to-day stuff that falls into this.
So my question is, are we going to hire a full-time engineer? And so we'll end up with two positions?
The Personnel Committee has not finalized the job description for the city engineer.
So we're going to go ahead and, that's really the same thing. If you'll read the job description, it only requires a high school education. And I would support that we need someone at least with a BS degree and some type of engineering. I would prefer seeing an engineer, the city works and the engineer combined, stay combined in the same position.
Okay, any other discussion?
What's the price range, what's the salary range on this?
It'll go to finance next.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't set
No.
that yet? That'll be up to us?
Yeah,
Technically,
We're still gonna do the
technically,
city
Mr.
engineer
Wiley,
part.
it's unfunded at this time.
that's correct, yeah. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm just confused. The city engineer position, that job description is still coming, or?
It has not been finalized yet.
Okay.
So what was the purpose of dividing these out? I mean, how long have we had both the city engineer and department head in the same position?
Since approximately 2010 or 2011.
Probably 20 years.
Yeah, 10 or 11.
2011, 2010, 2012.
But it overloads, it really overloads the engineer to do both of these jobs. It really does. It overloads him. I've seen it with Morgan, I've seen it with
So, Mr. Sims, to answer your question, it's only been since 2014 that the jobs were combined. We had some data, for some history from the other positions that were created, and it was only since 2014 that they combined the director and the engineer. Before that, the jobs were split out, and we basically just used those job descriptions and split them out really easily just because of the history there. Prior to that, I couldn't tell you what the arrangements were.
Okay.
Mr.
Thank you,
Sims.
Ms. Vaughn.
To give you the history on that, when Mayor Bill Eaton took office in 2011, soon after that was combined, and he made a hire of Mr. Oakes when those two positions were combined. Prior to that, when the previous Public Works Director was there, the city had two different contracts, part-time contracts with two different engineers as overlapping and separate times, and where they did it as contract work prior to that change under when Mayor Eaton was here. And then once that position was combined to a Public Works Director / engineer, then soon after, we started outsourcing again for engineering services in addition to that, if you'll remember.
Yeah.
Until the
'Cause he
previous,
couldn't keep
most
up with all of
recent
it.
Public Works Director was there, and then he was trying to do it all without having to outsource it.
So my question is then, are we going to hire a full-time engineer, or are we going to outsource
Yes.
it?
Yes.
That's the goal. They're working on the job description for it now. I'm speaking out of turn. But the tone of the meeting the other day, I think that's what we were leaning toward. Is that fair, Mr. Tripp?
This guy here would just be running the Department of Public Works. Then the engineer will be doing the engineer work, and then they can consult with each other. It'll work a lot better.
Any other discussion? All right, we've got a motion from the Personnel Committee to approve the job description for Public Works Director. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Does everybody hear that as 2 noes?
Yes.
2 noes.
All right, so item 2 is approved. Anything else?
Mayor, that concludes the Personnel Committee's report.
That will bring us down to old business. Item 1 is an ordinance to restructure the fees for Oakland Cemetery. This would be reading number 2.
Motion to dispense with the reading requirement, suspend the rules, read this time by title only with a short explanation.
For the second reading only.
Second reading only.
Okay, we've got a motion to suspend the reading requirement for the second reading only, read by title only with a short description. Please.
Need a second.
Second.
You need a second so that Trey doesn't have to read this whole thing to us. All right. We got a motion from Mr. Westcott and a second from Mr. Tripp to suspend the reading requirements. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Smith.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2139 to apply different purchase prices for grave lots in the Memorial Garden addition of Oakland Cemetery, and for purposes, this ordinance, if passed, would amend the current ordinance number 2139 in section 2 in A, and would actually split the current charging of grave lots in the cemetery to provide for a new list of costs and fees for the new Memorial Garden addition in Oakland Cemetery, and would keep the old prices and fees for the rest of the Oakland Cemetery.
Okay, that's reading number 2. Reading number 3 will be on old business in the June meeting. Old business item 2, consideration of rezoning to PUD on Marina Road and Jennifer Lane. It doesn't say here, but I believe that's the second reading on that.
Second reading.
Motion to suspend the rules, read by title only for this second reading only with a short
Okay.
explanation.
All right, we got a motion to suspend the reading requirement for the second reading only, read by title with a short explanation.
Second.
that Mr. Wiley?
Yeah.
Second from Mr. Wiley, the motion to suspend. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Is that a no?
Yes.
Should be 6-1.
6-1, so motion to suspend is passed. So, Mr. Smith?
An ordinance rezoning certain real in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would rezone property currently zoned R1 to the zoning PUD on property located on Marina Road at Jennifer Lane, further described in the attachment labeled Attachment A, and also in the plans attached with this ordinance is Exhibit B, and is commonly known as Hudson Harbor.
Okay, council, that is the second reading. Third reading will be on the old business of the June agenda. Item 3, consideration of an appropriation for PBR ramps and city parks. I believe that was, I'm trying to go back. That was in the form of a motion. It was $5,000 to do the preliminary, to get us to the point that we could really start the serious design work on a combination park for physically challenged members of the community and also a bike park. We think we could get them both in one. Am I right on that? And I believe this was a motion from the Finance Committee?
Correct.
Is that correct?
There was a motion to bring it to the council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. How do we want to dispense with this?
Mr.
Comments?
Mayor, I would move that we appropriate the 5,000 that they asked for.
Okay.
I second. That's out of Park and Rec?
It
Is
would
it
come
out
out
of
of Parks sales tax money. Parks Special, is that what it's called?
But this is
That's
out of
what we
our Park and
decided.
Rec.
Parks Capital, yeah, they've got a fund for capital projects that's supported in the sales tax.
Okay.
And the purpose of this 5,000 is for,
Design.
The preliminary
A design
design,
plan?
yeah. On something like this, even just to get you a conceptual drawing of it is pretty involved. Terry and the commission, you talked about this again this week, I believe, right?
Yes.
And you recommend, this is where you want to go with this?
Yes, basically our commission is behind this to take it out of our sales tax money to pay for this. What it gives us a custom design. We get to say kind of what we want in this design. They're gonna come in and recommend, and we'll come behind them, the community, they'll meet with the community groups and come in behind us and kind of do what they recommend. Basically, we're getting a conceptual design and we're getting a detailed cost estimate. And that's basically what we gotta have to get everything rolling. Because we're looking at putting the kids' bike park, the bump track, and the all-inclusive playground, which is a playground that any kid can play on. It lets all the kids play on the same playground. And it's right now, we don't have that at all in Russellville, any of the three. But basically, this is a trending thing right now. Bicycles are big right now. It goes along with our trails that we're trying to continue. And the Parks Department's all for it.
where are you going to put it?
Right now, when we do this cost analysis, we're gonna do with Vic Field. And the reason we've chosen Vic Field, and it doesn't have to stay there, but that's just where we're gonna start with. The reason I like that location and some of the other people like this location is because we already have utilities, we have lights, we already have bathrooms over there, and we have a concession stand over there already. And that's something we wouldn't have to build extra cost in to build those things.
Well, the way Vic Field is positioned, aren't there, it's on one block, aren't there houses on one end of it?
There's
How much
houses-
land are you talking about?
Well, it's just what the land we own there at Big Field. I mean, on one end are houses, there's some rent houses on one end, but that, I mean, that's not our property. I mean, we're just talking about on our property that we already own.
And there's a new pizza restaurant
How many
in between
acres?
now.
It's probably, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 acres.
And we'll,
Include what's across the street.
we'll close the street where, across the street from where the bathroom's at, we'll close that street.
That's the plan, yes, sir.
It has to be closed.
Because we want to put the playground, I mean, if we go with that location, we want to put the playground over by the restrooms and the concession, and there's some trees over there that would keep it shaded.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Ms. Bartlett, you feel like this is something the community could use? Yes, sir. But just for clarification, before we get off this subject, when you're saying close the street, you're not talking about Parkway, please. We don't want to blow up the switchboard tomorrow morning. No, thank you, no, we're not closing Parkway. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item 3 is approved. Item 4, discussion of the ADFA program. Mr. Straight?
Yes, where we're at on that, if you recall, that's a program administered by ADFA. That's the Arkansas Development Finance Authority. This is $25,000 grant to rehabilitate older housing structures. And the thing that's developed lately, Gary Lee with Housing Authority, who has a vast amount of experience in these type of grants, is presently reading the operations manual. And he's to let us know next week if he will assist us with this program. Because if he would, that would really speed us along of having to take care of all the administrative complexities. If he agrees to help us, I'll convene our committee of Westcott, Harris, and Jimmy Street from Main Street, and we'll take the next step to administer this program.
Boy, that would be a huge blessing, because the administration of this, it's going to have its own little challenges, and if we can partner up with them, that would be helpful. So he's going to get back next week with that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else want to add on this? All right, item 5, demolition of the unsafe building we talked about last month. Mr. Holstein, I believe you have a update for us.
Yes, if you'll remember last month, the lady hadn't obtained a house, and we wasn't sure whether she could or not, so we tabled it. And since then, she has. And she also has inline contractors, subs, licensed people to assist her in this, and she's ready for her rehab agreement and the bond. So I feel comfortable that we ought to let her do it and give her the 6 months. We will have a safety net. If it doesn't happen, we'll have the bond money to demo the building.
So we're asking the council to approve offering her a rehab agreement.
Basically, I'm asking the council to go ahead with the condemnation, and then she has 7 days to enter into the agreement, and she is going to enter.
She's ready to do it.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Westcott. Second, Mr. Wiley. All in favor of the rehab agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that cleans up the agenda. I'll do a couple of quick public service announcements, though, because this will come up before our next meeting. June the 1st, mark it on your calendars, we're going to do the official ribbon cutting on the new Central Fire Station and the dedication of Ladder 1. It's actually 2 separate ceremonies, but they're all at one. That's 5:30. That's June the 1st is a Friday. The reason we're doing it that date and in the evening is because it times in with Art Walk, which is a great event downtown Russellville. If y'all aren't going to that, you're missing out on your community. And the other one is, while we're on that, I believe it's this Saturday, is the first music festival at the Downtown Summer Music Series, which is a blast. You get down there and see all your friends, listen to some good music, and experience what the River Valley really is all about. And with that,
Motion to adjourn.
there it is.
Happy birthday.